Hi Gordon. Today we're going to look at a cruise control on a 123. There were a couple of variations on that cruise control. We're going to talk about the later version. The later version has a gearbox that controls the throttle linkage on the car. The gearbox is opposed to some kind of a vacuum actuator. We're not dealing with a vacuum actuator system, we're dealing with a gearbox system. Usually those gearboxes don't go out. Most likely the problem when cruise control doesn't work is a cruise control amplifier. And the amplifier is in a little silver box up under a kick panel. Maybe it's about 6 inches long by 4 inches wide by an inch or two deep or thick, and it's located right up near the brake pedal under the kick pad. And so we're going to look at taking that thing off and replacing it today. To replace it or to take it off, all we need really is to take the kick panel down, which just takes a screwdriver and usually a little knife. So you just need a Phillips screwdriver, and then there's just one 10mm bolt that holds that amplifier onto the frame of the car under there. So let's get under there and look where it is and take it off. Now once I take that kick panel off, which just comes off with a few simple Phillips screws, I'm going to see if we can shine the light up here and show you where that cruise control amplifier is. The brake pedal is here, and this is the cruise control amp. And you can see it's mounted, and there are some plugs. The actual plug into the cruise control amp is right underneath it, and it should just come right off. It just comes right off of there. It's like a 12 or 14 pin connector. And then there's another plug that's plugged into the bracket, and it either moves forward or back. I'll have to look at it, but that thing should come right off of there. It's just snapped in there. We just want to get it out of our way. Now you see the 10mm bolt in question is right up there. Let me try to get my wrench on it. I finally got that nut all the way loose, and you can see that this amp just drops right out of there. And that's it. So let's take it up on the bench. Now, if we want to take the cruise control module off a 126, what I have is a 10mm socket and a short extension, about a 3-inch extension. It goes right behind the brake pedal. There's a 10mm bolt right there, and that's a lot easier to get out than the 2 screws. And so what you do is just take that bolt out. Let me get my wrench. If you can see where I am, this is the module that I want, and I'm on the bolt. You'll have to kind of feel your way up in there, but and that bolt's going to be hard. I got it loose, but it's kind of stiff coming all the way out. There. Now I just unplug it. Actually, there's another module connected to it that I didn't unplug, but I think you get the idea. Now, if we wanted to get into the amp, we can very carefully bend these little tabs back. I use a screwdriver. I want to be careful not to bend the case too much. So we've got it off, and that's what the electronic circuit looks like.
Once we've got the case bent back, we can simply slide the insides out. Now you want to be careful. These components, these ICs here, are very sensitive to static, so you want to work on a surface that is static free in a non-carpeted area and in an area where you're not going to have a lot of static. So be careful, because just by examining this you could actually do some damage. As I peruse or browse across the board, I notice that there are no components that are visibly burnt or discolored or fried in any way. So I can tell that this board is relatively intact, and probably none of the components are bad. The problem in 90% of these boards, once again, is a cold solder joint. And the only way to find that is to visibly look at each one of these little connectors. It's a tedious job, but it's worth it in the long run when you consider the cost of a new replacement unit. Typically what will happen is the larger components, you'll notice that these larger components right here, these capacitors, some of these are coils, some of them happen to be resistors. Most of the time it's a solder joint associated with these larger components because they tend to vibrate more, and you'll notice that they set higher off the circuit board than these lower components, and therefore the vibration causes leverage, and the joint associated with this component will typically go cold or vibrate until there's no longer a mechanical or electrical connection. What I would do is just probably start at one end, and I like to do it lengthwise. So I start over here and I just sweep down this side of the board, and I just heat up each one of the components. So I'll get this cord out of the way and show you how I do that. Just start up here, and you can see as it melts, and then just move your way down the board one by one. Now once you're through, you'll want to inspect it to make sure that, again, there's no solder bridges between these small components here, these leads on the components. After you're finished, you'll want to insert it back into the case and reinsert it into the automobile. Some runs right here on the side, on this side and on this side, where the board fits into the left side and the right side, and then make sure that the foam fits in, and then it just slides back in. What I would do, it's very sensitive to static, and so I would leave it in here, and now I would go set it back in your car, attach the 14-pin connector back to it, and take it for a road test.